You're very welcome to be out in the cottage. I'm here in the stone circle, just on the top left-hand corner of the map, if you have it. And today, I'm looking for herbs. So come with me, let's do a little bit of foraging. One of the first herbs to really make a show is woodruff. Isn't this beautiful? And nearby, sweet Sicily. Once you get that onto your land, it just spreads. It's beautiful. But you know, talking about herbs, there's a very thin line between herbs and flowers, and especially wildflowers. These are primroses, wild primroses, and you can eat the flowers. They are beautiful in salads. Look how pretty they are. This is another one which is, I always think it's more like a flower than a herb, because the flowers that come on it are beautiful. Look a bit like yellow rattle. This is lemon balm. It's absolutely gorgeous. And again, you can use it in salads and all kinds of lotions and potions. You know, I think I'll put a link to my website and put these all up in a list and their uses. You know, when you're foraging for herbs or wildflowers, small little bits of plants to eat, of course, our ancestors knew all about that. We know very little, but it's never too late to teach yourself. The leaves of plants are incredibly vital. Now, in the past, I've made homemade wine from oak leaves, for example. Makes the most beautiful white wine, very crisp and dry. Now, this one, for many gardeners, is an absolute nuisance. But this ground elder comes up with the most beautiful white flowers. So, even though it's very invasive, it was a very important herb in Roman days. They used it for treating gout, which is a very painful form of arthritis, usually brought on by over-excessively rich diet. Well, this one speaks for itself. It can be used in any amount of dishes and stir-fries and salads. It is the humble chive. But again, for me it's more like a flower than a herb, because you get these beautiful purple globular flowers that come up that the bees love and that are then filled with beautiful chive seed, again, which you can use. So easy to grow. This one's in my vegetable garden. And also in my vegetable garden is sorrel. Now, this is the wild sorrel. I really don't know the difference between wild and cultivated. I think if you get a little patch of sorrel in your garden and you look after it, you're cultivating it, aren't you? Anyway, that's delicious. Make beautiful sorrel soup with that. And there's more chives, by the way. You know, there's so much talk today about prepping, and everyone gets into buying food to store, you know, create pantries where everything is stored up and it's all shop-bought food or tinned or canned or whatever. But I feel that one of the most important ways to empower yourself is to do it with knowledge. And you know, you don't even have to be out foraging, just to learn about what you can forage. And so, teaching yourself how to forage, what plants to go for, what you can make out of certain plants or leaves or shrubs or ground cover, that's probably more important than learning how to prep and make a big pantry of stored food. because stored food, of course, will eventually run out. But if you have the knowledge, if you know what to look for in nature, if you know what can sustain you, then like our ancestors, you will survive any problem, worldwide problem that is. And don't forget, we are only here because our ancestors survived. So think of it like that, and how important knowledge really is. Now this one speaks for itself. It's mint. There are various forms of mint. I have one of the most powerful mints growing here at Old Cottage, which is water mint, and that grows down in the lower pond. But mint itself can be a lovely plant to put in, even though it is invasive. If you have a weedy patch, plant some mint, and the mint will soon take over the weeds. So, you know, make hay while the sun shines. This is probably one of the most underrated little plants, the humble dandelion. Now, not only is it really important for the ecosystem and for bees and little insects like this, but you can use the leaves and the flowers, and you can also use the roots. An uncle of mine used to make the most beautiful coffee using the roots of the dandelion, which he roasted. Now, imagine having a healthy coffee substitute. Self-heal, Pachuca. This is beautifully invasive because it's very neat when it invades. I'll show you. Look, perfectly sculpted edge. So, we're going to go down into the fairy wood and just go for a little adventure. Starting here at the spring well, because of course all the water that flows through the forest gardens here comes from this little well, which most people look down into and say, but it's just like a puddle. There's no water moving. And then you follow the little stream down and you see the water and you hear it. And just listening and walking and seeing. This is what foraging is all about. Know where it is you're walking, and you can only know that by opening all your senses and being aware. And you will begin almost subconsciously to recognise spots where things grow, where plants that are useful to you, very specifically useful to you, grow. And also, you know, the water sources, because water is the Ishkababa, the water of life. Now, here in Ireland, of course, we refer to Irish whiskey as the Ishkababa, the water of life. And I suppose for many people, at certain times it has been. But water, real water, is very healing. So all this is spring water. And also it's important when you go foraging to go at different times of the day, and realise as well that there is food out there in the environment all the year round. Now this is down in the very lower woodland, where last year I spent a great deal of the autumn and the winter cutting back, coppicing the willow and planting what I would call secondary trees and shrubs. But even the humble willow, which will grow just from putting a slip into the ground, because there's no need to actually plant willow, you just put a little slip in and away it goes. That's where we get some of our drugs from. And most of you will know, of course, that aspirin will come from willow. So there are ways of approaching willow and using it as a medicine. This is quince, growing fairly wild again down in the lower woodland. And holly. Now following the stream as it flows into what was the lower pond, but it's slowly been naturalised into a stream. Then coming back up through the woodland gardens, up towards the cottage, lots of carrier. Again, flowers. And you know, even if we can't eat them, or maybe we have no use for them, you will notice when you look into nature that the birds gain a lot of their nutrition from flowering shrubs. You'll see little bits pecked out of the petals. That's the birds. It's a cherry tree. That's the one I brought in a coffee cup from London 19 years ago. And of course, not just foraging for food, but foraging for our mental well-being and our emotional health. So although you're not deliberately picking things or collecting things, your mind is absorbing all that health, all that nutrition in nature. Very important. This is more of the quince. The one down in the lower woodland was pink. This one's white. And back up, around to the sheltered garden at the back. Well, this video could go on for hours because there's so much to forage, not only in your garden, but in the wild, along hedgerows and ditches. It's just amazingly abundant. But, like all good videos, I'm going to end it here and say blessings to you all the links to everything Old Cottage can be found below this video in the description box and every other video I put up. Oh, and I think there must be somewhere in the region of about 1,200 videos up on this channel, all advertisement free and all free to view. So help yourself and have a wonderful day. Blessings to you all.